So welcome to week 2 of the PT podcast with Eric. And I have some very good questions that I'd like to respond to, especially in the lead up to Christmas. And Carol Tachi's first question is, why are there so many gyms, and would exercising outside be sufficient to feel good? This is a very good question, Carol, because I would like to respond to it in the context of the third space. I don't know if people are aware of Dr. Adam Fraser's book. It's been out for some time, and he's an Australian doctor who did his whole thesis on the whole idea of the third space. And it's a very, very good concept. And it's something that I try and live by each day. And it's the understanding of where have we come in the past and where are we now and where are we moving into the future. So I agree with you. There are so many gyms in the market these days, okay? And they try to cater for all the different needs that everyone may have regarding to feel good and also to improve their health and fitness levels. So the idea of the third space in the past used to be generally, and I know I'm talking generally here, that you have your working life, you have your home life, and what is in between that? Now, in the past, a lot of people used to go to the club or they'll go to a pub and so on and socialize with their friends or with their colleagues and their mates and have a drink. So that was their form of a third space back in the 60s. Now, time has evolved. Now, let's fast track to where we are now. So what is our third space? So it may be meeting up with colleagues after work, go to a bar and have a few drinks, go out for dinner and so on, or you may go to the gym. And I personally feel that's why we've had an insurgence of gyms on the market these days, because we are now using gymnasiums as our third space. And why is it important to have this space, okay? And it's based on the question that you asked, and it's to feel good, okay? Because you don't want to bring work home, and you don't want to take home to work. So you need something in between. And that's why this is very important. And for people who run a home business, they must be very disciplined if they run a home business, because they really don't have a third space unless they move from the physical side of the home business. They need to be able to get out of that moment, okay? So it's very important to get outside. In your question that you said, should you be exercising outside? That's fine. Or you can be in a gymnasium. That is just as sufficient. So whatever works for you, as long as you develop that third space in order to feel good. So it may be shopping. It may be going to the gym. It may be going outside for a walk. It may be going for a swim or listening to music and so on. But at the end of the day, as I'm a big advocate, you just need to move. And it must be something that's in between your home life and your work life in that given day. Now, I know you may not be able to train every day, but you might be able to designate between 3 to 4, maybe possibly 5 times in a given week. So you have that segregation between family life and work life, and then everyone is happy, including yourself. So we have a question from Troy McNamara. Does your body need a rest day if you train every day with high intensity? And would a rest day include an entire day with no exercise, or an active recovery? Is it considered a rest day? So looking at the latter part of that question, an active recovery basically means that the person is still doing some form of activity, but it's not at the intensity that they're usually training at. It might be only at 15% of their usual training load, could be even less, could be slightly more, depending on the training phase of the person or the client, and also the type of sport that they're playing. So usually active recovery is quite common within an actual training session. So if you're doing a high intensity run, you may go for an interval as a walk. So it can be like on an intra level, so within a training session, but it could also be on an inter level, and that's within a training week or a training program, training month, and so on. Recovery is very important. I think we are starting to understand more and more the importance of recovery, even to the point of high-level athleticism and high-level competition. You never really train at 100% intensity. You leave that 3 to 5% room of intensity for the training, for the actual day of competition. And I think the environmental factors, the psychological factors, all have a part to play in athletic performance. So therefore, active recovery is vital, but recovery in general is very important. So do you need a rest day? Yes. Now, once again, Troy, depending on your training situation or your training program, if it was a traditional bodybuilding program, there are a number of training splits or training sessions that you can do. So for example, you can do 2 on and 1 off, and then another 2 on and 1 off, and get that through the week. You may choose to train 6 days a week and have a full rest day recovery on that 7th day. Once again, it's very situational, depends on what your goals are and what level you are in the training phase. So if you're in that competition phase of your training program, your recovery will definitely be active recovery. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Tour de France. So when they're in the stages of the Tour de France, even on their rest day, they are on the bike riding almost equivalent to the Tour, but not to the same intensity, because you want to keep the muscle fibers in the same pattern. You want to keep psychologically in the same pattern, and sometimes too much of a rest can actually be detrimental psychologically. But then on the flip side, like a lot of clients that I have, they might say, hey, I've had 2 weeks off. I didn't realize I came back feeling better and stronger than I even anticipated. Now, there is an idea with, or a rule that I use regarding recovery, and more so in terms of having a layoff. So it's obviously a layoff is an extended period of time, and you decide to return back to training. So the rule is the length of time that you take off from training is the time it takes you to return back to where you left off. So for example, let's say you take a week off, it will take you a week to train at your usual intensity to get back to where you left off. So anyone who has a year layoff from training or from the gym, there's a bit of work to do in order to return back to your original state and when you left off. Now, I know I'm going on a slight tangent there, but these factors are really important because people need to understand, should I try and fast track my return back to training? Should I have a rest day? All these things come into play, because what do they result in, Troy? They all result in injury or preventing injury. So that's why this is a very good question, especially for this time of year, in the latter part of the year, when everyone's tired, everyone's got social functions on, we've got deadlines to meet at work and so on. Your risk of injury is extremely high at this period of time. So when you do testing week or you want to see if you can match your 1 repetition max, you need to be very careful at the timing of the year in which you do that. And I'm a big advocate of understanding when your intensity is in your workplace as well, because that can increase your risk of injury. So if you are an accountant, for example, and July through to September is your busiest time period, you may want to slow down your training intensity. So you might be conscious and say, my plan for the next 6 weeks during this tax time will only be between 85 and 95% maximum at any one given time. Now, is it a recovery? No, but it's a mental preparation that you do not train at that high intensity because you want to prevent the risk of injury. So rest days are very important. What should you do on a rest day? Well, it depends. Sometimes a splurge meal or recovery meals are really important. Sometimes just doing incidental exercise, going for walks with friends, watching movies and so on. I think you need to be aware of and emphasize the importance of the psychological approach of recovery. It's not just about the physical, it's about you having a mental rest day so that you look forward to training again in the next training session. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to overtrain either. So it's very important that you do have your rest day. Active recovery is great for the competition phase of your training program, and you don't want to overtrain first and foremost, because your risk of injury is very high. The next question from Judith McMurch is a very good question. I have two fit, healthy, active boys who love exercising. I was just wondering, should children be lifting weights? Thanks. As you may or may not be aware, I was a high school teacher and a sports master for many, many years. So this is an area that I'm very passionate about regarding children and lifting weights. I taught in an all-boys school, co-ed school, and you need to be aware of the most important things with children lifting weights. First and foremost, actually, in many different, I suppose, departments or dioceses around the state, it's an actual policy that children under the age of 16 years of age should not be placing any resistance weight in terms of, say, a barbell on their shoulder blades or on their traps so that there is any spinal compression. Now, that's really important that when you're exercising, there is always a modification that you can I suppose, recommend to your children. So, for example, if your children really wanted to do a leg weight, or they're a sports-specific athlete and they wanted to strengthen their legs or even explosive power in their legs, they can do squats with dumbbells held in their hands. Now, there is no spinal compression as opposed to putting a barbell on their traps, and they still are able to strengthen the legs. Now, regarding should children do weights, very good question. I think first and foremost, children, I don't know their ages, but first and foremost, they need to understand there is balance, stability, first and foremost before they strengthen. So once they can get that proprioception with balance and stability, then they can then move on to the strengthening side of things. So that will be first and foremost body weight movements. So even just doing a body weight squat or an air squat, that will be highly recommended for a child as opposed to a weighted squat. I think we jump to conclusions and we think children should, use equipment in the gymnasium or whatever they got at home. But believe it or not, in terms of functionality, they can perform much more with their own body weight and have as much resistance depending on how they perform the exercise. So I would recommend for the squat situation that they do a 3 count down on the eccentric or the downward phase of the squat, and then they do a 1 or a 2 count on the upward phase. Now that would actually get more quad activation and glute activation and have a big burn in the thighs as opposed to doing a weighted squat at a fast rate. Now, on the contrary though, if your children were athletes, then their training age is quite advanced for their age and they're at a competitive level for sport, well then weighted squats will be more permissible. So it's very situational, but if we're talking general populations, then definitely no spinal compression with resistance training. We don't want to shorten fibers, we want to lengthen fibers, so stretching is just as important. But first and foremost, I would highly recommend body weight movements and focus on balance and stability first and foremost. As you can understand, there are some athletes that are 16 years of age that they look like they're 18 or 20 years of age. Now, that would be a different situation. Their training age is more advanced, their body has adapted, and genetics has a huge part to play as well. So you don't want to further compress the spine if a child has scoliosis. So you need to be able to understand what exercises you can strengthen and what you can lengthen at the same time. But fundamentally, stretching is very important, and the fact that your children are fit and healthy, I think that's a winner. And I hope this response has helped you in some way, but also any parent listening to this podcast. We have a number of questions from a Brendan Bryant, and similarly to Troy's question, it is about rest periods. So sometimes I will train multiple times in one day. Should I be ensuring that I have a certain rest period between multiple workouts regardless of the type of workout? So slightly different to Troy's question. Troy's talking about training splits, whereas Brendan's talking about or inquiring about multiple training sessions in one day. I'm not a big fan of training twice in one day, but it depends on the level that a client is and what their goals are. And so, for example, sometimes when we say we're training twice in one day, well, really one session may be stretching, or it may be just some slight cardio and so on. But if you're actually doing 2 intense training sessions, then you're definitely overtraining in that one day. Now that would be okay if you're going to rest the next day. So it's very important that you do not overtrain, just like I said in Troy's response. So should you be ensuring that you have a rest period between multiple workouts? Definitely. And also be aware of hydration and food throughout that day as well, so you've got a good set of nutrients going through. You also have another question, Brennan, and that is, do you have any advice for trainers and or clients when it comes to setting goals? How small or big should goals be, and how often should you and or client reevaluate? Very, very, very good question, Brennan. Goal setting, as we know, is the cornerstone of what you do, okay? In terms of it allows us to sometimes tick a box to say that we've achieved something. It shows improvement, it shows moving forward, and really that's what life is all about. If you can say that you are moving forward, the only time you look backwards look back is to realize how far you have come. And that's really important regarding what we do here as personal trainers and educators. I'm really big on, when we look at goals, we look at moving towards goals and moving away from goals. But there's a little bit to that. So when you're putting together your goals, it's very important to do that with movement. So do not sit at a desk and try and write out your goals. You're not going to be at the peak condition or a prime creative mind with your endorphins pumping in order to write goal setting. I don't think people truly value what movement can do. Now, I'm not saying you should go for a run and try and write out your goals at the same time, but possibly go for a walk. You've got your phone with you, and write some things as you walk. Or you might go for a run, something comes to mind, and then in your notepad you write some of your goals down, and then you can then sit down and put pen to paper and elaborate on them and see where you want to go with that. But before you even do that, one thing or a strategy that I use is that you need to work out your hierarchy of importance. So I like to say a 1 to 5. So for example, what is the most important in your life right now? Or what would you like it to be as your number 1? And you do a list of 1 to 5. So for example, mine would be family, okay? So then that allows you, when you have a testing time, so for example, do you need to go to this function or that function? Do you need to stay back at work? Should I go to the gym? All those type of things. You're going to subconsciously make those decisions based on those top 5 hierarchy of importance. And it's quite an interesting, or it's a cool thing when you look back, you go, wow, I actually made decisions based on that top 5 hierarchy. And it takes a lot of the stress off you, and it makes it clear as to what you really want in life. So once you've worked out your hierarchy, that's really your value system. So once you've worked out your value system, then life can move forward, because now you know what your tabletop or your legs on your tabletop really are. And then you work out you're moving towards goal. Now, one thing that's interesting with this one, if you're going to move forward in terms of, I want to lose 10 kilos in body weight. Now, that is fine to state that, but you must give it a time period, okay? And you must also put down one action that you must take in order to lose 10 kilos. So there's an element of accountability that's very important. That's one thing that we push in our courses regarding motivational strategies and also the role of a personal trainer. First and foremost, the role of a PT is accountability. People love it. Even though they may be in denial and not say it, at the end of the day, they want someone to make them accountable. And that's why they see personal trainers. So goal setting may be to see a personal trainer. but you may need to elaborate on that and say, I will see a personal trainer twice a week or 3 times a week, and this is what I want to get out of it. So there is a strategy, there's an art to goal setting, and hopefully if you do have a trainer, they can help you to achieve that. However, that's your positive moving towards goals, but you must also be a pessimist in the sense that you must have moving away from goals, because sometimes that is actually more motivating than the moving towards ones. So for example, I don't ever want to feel tired walking up a flight of stairs. Okay, maybe at work you've got a flight of stairs and you seem to always get tired or fatigued at the top of those stairs, and it's something that just bites at you, and you say, never again, I don't ever want to feel that emotion ever again. Now that could be just as strong and help you to lose that 10 kilos, but you must write one action to do that. So for example, you may take that stairs, go to the next floor every time you need to go to the next floor rather than catch a lift. So that is an action that you must take. So you don't want to overcomplicate goals. You want them to stay very simple, but you need to tell people what your goals are. You need to make yourself accountable. That is very important. The more people you tell, the more people then they'll ask you and say, hey, how are you going with your goals and so on. And then you have to start practicing what you really preach. So I wish you all the best with your goal setting, especially coming January around the corner. I think this strategy will really work for people. And if you have any further questions regarding goal setting, be sure to just send a message in our next podcast. Troy McNamara asked a question regarding my personal opinion regarding pre-workouts. And pre-workouts have evolved definitely over the many years. There's a lot of hybrids in the sense that there are multiple supplements within the one supplement of a pre-workout. So first and foremost, they're designed to give you a psychological gain. They're an ergogenic device in the sense that they help you with your performance. Now, it may be a placebo, it may be in the sense that psychological in that sense, but regardless, it does help you with your performance. Now, pre-workouts, I've used them many years, and because you're asking for my personal opinion, I'm more than happy to provide you with that. But I would prefer supplements in their pure state and not to have a hybrid that's found in a pre-workout. So for example, I would rather take iron tablets just on their own, or I would rather take a test booster on their own. I'd rather take creatine on their own, and so on. And I'm not a big fan of things with flavoring. I want to keep pure in the supplement as it is. But like I said, they have evolved. One thing I'm very against, and this is a personal thing once again regarding pre-workouts, is that tingling sensation that you get. Now that's not in all pre-workouts, but beta-alanine is an amino acid that gives you that sensation of excessive blood flow, and that's that tingling sensation throughout your body. That is one feeling I do not like. So that's why I'm not a big fan of pre-workouts. However, like I said, they've all evolved and they are quite effective, and not all of them have beta-alanine in them anymore. One thing to be conscious about though, there were some supplements that have been brought off the market regarding, the psychological effects of pre-workouts. So you need to be conscious. I would rather purchase a pre-workout that has been on the market for some time rather than a new one on the market, because I want it to be out there, get reputability first, and understand exactly and find out from my peers or just friends what they thought of that pre-workout as well. But they do work, and they are suitable for someone who is training at high intensity. There is no reason why you need a pre-workout if you're doing moderate intensity exercise. So that's one thing that's really important, and they do aid with recovery. And one thing that was great that a client said to me many years ago is that she had to have downtime from her supplements, that she felt that she was overdosing on pre-workouts. So she would have a full week recovery, just like, any form of supplement, that she would have a full week recovery, and then she would start fresh again, and then basically get a better response from her body from that supplement. So to answer your question, I know it was a personal one. My emotions are quite mixed regarding pre-workouts, but like I said, I like to specialize and pick particular supplements in their pure state rather than a hybrid of a pre-workout.